guys, Julia Jordan, your favorite real estate agent. I just come off a mastermind call. You know, each week I'm on about usually 8 mastermind calls, and we share our day-to-day business and stories with other top agents, and they're not in the same town. They don't know who I'm talking about, but I shared the story of that I have a listing appointment today, and it is friends of mine, and they had multiple properties, and now little by little they want to use the top market to turn them into liquid and make them into cash again and use it for new adventures. And they had a property manager on the property, and often property managers, they do hold a real estate license and they theoretically are able to sell your property. And I said, well, I'm so happy that they signed up with a top listing agent. I'm also a buyer's agent, by the way, and I help many people, and I love my buyers, but I'm also very, very strong on the listing side. And he was like, oh, so they were considering selling with the property manager? And I'm like, yes, they were, and I'm so happy they don't. And he's like, he called it, oh, they wanted to do the dentist, they wanted to have the dentist to do the knee surgery. And I just cracked up for a minute solid, because that is true. When someone is the expert in property managing, they are not the expert in buying or selling. Property managing, that is, oh my gosh, that is a headache on itself. I do have my property manager course for liability and just my sanity, and also wrinkles around the eye and brain cells dying. I do not do property management. I only do buying, selling, and I help my landlords, and I'm pretty good at that. But property management, man, that is hard. That's almost like being a teacher these days. You could not pay me for doing that job. And also giant liability. So when you do property management, you are very busy with that. You are not the expert in constantly buying and selling. It's simply not what you do every day. So if you need knee surgery, that's a complicated process. You better work with the expert. Don't ask your dentist, hey, I like you. Could you do my knee surgery? It worked quite well for my fillings or for my veneers or whatever, your dentures or whatever you need. Don't let the dentist do your knee surgery, right? It is a very expensive transaction, no matter the price point. You don't even want to burn through $2,000. And often it is way more depending on how you're listed. Yesterday I had a conversation. I talked to the peeps all last year. Yeah, we're getting ready, we're moving out of state. I'm like, well, I'm here for you, I'm here for you, I'm here for you. Calling yesterday, boom, property is sold. I'm like, oh, how did that happen so fast, huh? We just talked about it. And she's like, well, my the nephew of the uncle of the brother, something like that, is a real estate agent in Dallas. We're talking about a Houston property, and they had an investor. So we just sold it very quick because it was so quick. And I'm like, but did you get top dollar? And am I not at super speed? At the end of the day, good for them. I wish them the best. I said, what a blessing to you that you put big dollar in your, or little dollar, but quick dollar in your pocket. But we sell on the MLS so fast. My neighbor, property almost $1 million, called me 4 days before we went active. And she's like, oh, I knew you will be my agent. And I'm like, well, how about you tell me a little bit ahead of time, so I can get prepared, especially when we're talking about a very expensive property or a pretty expensive property. In this case, their house was like maybe a $300,000 house. So the margin is not as big, but when your income is proportionally also less, that's a lot of money, especially the poorer people, those that work their whole life to keep up with the property. They should put every single dollar back in their pocket. So they sold to an investor with an agent that is not even the expert in this market. He is only holding a real estate license. My broker would not even allow me to do business in Dallas market. When I know amazing agents in Dallas and Austin and Waco and all over the rest of the country. And I know how to screen for a good agent in case you're in a pocket of the world where I don't know anyone. I can look them up in Keller Williams, and I can look them up in our NPR database on how much business they do, how good they are of an agent. There are ways to find that out. So I can give you a referral usually in less than 24 hours all over the world. I have a referral for you where you can go to know you in good hands. Yeah, because it is very hard for the public to pick a good agent. Like I always struggle, like when you need a good attorney or you need a good dentist, how do you even screen them? So I can help you at least if you need a good real estate agent. So these people sold to an investor with someone who was not the expert. When you sell to an investor, guess what the agent usually gets? The agent usually gets double of the commission. I have several listings coming up. I have several listing appointments this week and next week. So the market is heating up tremendously. And in my mastermind call, an agent from a different city, quite a bit away from Houston, said, hey, I want to be the buyer and you can keep the commission. I'm like, oh, here we go. You want to get me with double the commission and you take it off the market before it even hits the market. So those are all the insider agent jokes, but the public doesn't know that when there's a transaction to an investor, usually the agent gets double commission. So what happens if your agent is not highly ethical? They worry more about their own paycheck than about your pocket. And they're like, oh, an investor, that's great because you get your money so fast. No. All the investors also are observing the MLS. What do you think? When there is a good deal on the MLS, do you think they don't snatch it up because it's on the MLS? No. They will write an offer. We sell to cash buyers, we sell to investors, we sell to the end consumer, we sell to people with they struggle with their credit, but they do qualify and they are first-time home buyers and they are your highest offer. And we talk to the lender and figure out how solid they are. Yeah, every listing agent needs to do their due diligence on the buyer as well. Who is the buyer? And sometimes on paper, our offer looks not so good, but then we talk to the lender and everything is golden and we are ready to move forward. So just because you want to get rid of it quick, you want to rip off the band-aid, you are done with your messed up house or you are done with your luxury property, it is not rocket science how to sell those, and you can sell them quick and high. The two of them always go hand in hand. Nothing sells high over months and months. After months and months, I recently had a listing. Yeah, what if next month or the month after someone comes out of the woodworks 10% over asking? I'm like, why would they do that? They already know month 1 or 2 or 3, they don't have competition anymore. Why would they give you over asking? There's no more motivation. They know they are the only offer, right? So you need to be listed right. And I can explain you in the listing appointment. I show you all the active competition. I show you how much is going into pending right now, not last year, not the last 3 months. Right now, how much do we have in pending, in option pending? How many days on market? We look at the sold properties. We look at the, oh, by the way, that's an interesting point too. List price to actually sales price. List price is not sales price. People confuse that. You can list something that is worth for 300 and list it for 200. Guess what will happen? You have a crazy traffic on the property. Everybody thinks your listing agent is not smart and giving away your property. You have a crazy multiple offer situation, bidding war, and you get it probably even over 300. Don't do it. The jump is too much from 200 to 300. But just to give you the example, if your property is 300 and you list it for 280, guess what? You will have the attention on the market, yeah? It takes trust for your listing agent. I understand that, but I tell you what, those clients of mine, and 95% of my clients do listen to my pricing strategy and advice, and they do trust it. And I tell you, I tell you to jump off a cliff and the parachute will open, but it works. How do we know it works? Good question. I'm glad you asked. And I had it recently on one of my most recent listings. How do we know it works? And I simply said, this is how you stalk a good agent. Look me up on HAR. You see if I'm heavy on the listing or heavy on the buyer side. And you can do that with all agents. You can say Julia Puig Jordan HAR, and there comes my picture, there comes reviews, what other regular consumers said about me. There's no way for me to manipulate that, okay? Whatever they write, that is what is printed there for the public. So there's no way for fake reviews. I would actually get in major trouble if I would even try. So there are ways how to keep safe that it is actually the buyer or the real seller that wrote me a review. And you can look up how many days on market. And recently the client did the research and she's like, oh yeah, first we were scared because there was this one property, 120 days on the market. And I'm like, hold on a second, did you check if I was on the buyer's or on the seller's side? And she said, yeah, and then we saw you were on the buyer's side. And I'm like, yes. And then next thing, please go back into my profile and look up how much it was listed for, and then how much my buyer bought it for. We're talking about 45K equity going in. So those are the sweet things. And those are the things how I explain my clients. And I'm like, well, you can go with any agent. There are many, many agents out there, and there are a bunch of really good ones. But this is how you screen your agent. You also want to know, is it a giant team? Giant team have giant numbers, but they also have 20 people or 40 people on their team. Do you get the one-on-one attention? Is actually one person in charge of all the conversation, all the email, all the documents, what goes in and out, every negotiation? Or are you actually taken care of by 10 people at the very same time? And sometimes the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. And I worked with teams that I respected very much, and then I worked with them, and I'm like, you know what? In German we say they all just cook their potatoes in water. Like they all just boil with water. They go to the bathroom like you and me. Like it's not rocket science, you know. And I was disappointed on some of those bigger teams because it always took 24 hours turnaround time to have your answer or to have a document back. And when it is just one agent in charge with a professional team of appraisers, inspectors, title company, I have a full-time assistant, whatever I drop in her lap, she's right there. If I'm driving, she's setting up emails, responding to documents. So we are super fast. I can't wait for you. I personally don't like to get my patient side out. I like it heavy on the gas in traffic and in real estate, but I can be very fast if I have to be. But I love to, for your sake and for your sanity, I love to take it step by step and guide you through the process. Okay, so that is a nugget from me right now. Properties overall in our Texas market that are listed 100% get sold for 89%. So that's where our pricing is right now. If you see properties on the MLS and you get sticker shock, list price is not sales price, except with my properties. When I list, my ratio is way, 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 way better because we usually always get over asking, but we also price right. And I'm not scared of being very honest with my clients, giving them the news flash. And last listing appointment, I said, you know, I don't think I will get your listing. And I did get it, but honestly, I didn't expect it because I said the price that you need to be listed at is a different one than what you probably assume where you want to end up. But my job is to tell you when you are dreaming. My job is to give you a reality check and not take your listing for just having it on the MLS. Yeah, it's a very sad story. I want to take your listing to later brag with your story because once it's public on the MLS, everybody sees list price to sales price, how many days on market, and even things like little hidden things like seller contribution to closing. So even those things where we give incentives to the buyers, all those things are visible if you know how to run your numbers for the public. It's visible for the public. So I want to brag with those numbers later. So I am not interested in having an unsuccessful listing. I love to help my clients to list their property and sell it for top dollar, but also that is my next brag story. And if it is off a list price and we struggle to sell it, sometimes I use those as a negative example and said, you don't want to be the next one of those. The seller wanted to be on XYZ and I told the seller, ran the comps, it is not the perfect price, you should be here and there. Or certain thresholds, sometimes when your property is 415 in value, do you want to live, it's not threshold, it's threshold, I'm still working on my English. Do you want to be listed for 400 or 425 or 450? Guess what? If you list at 400, probably we get you even over the 415. And maybe or maybe not, there is a very recent example where that worked. Okay, that was a lot of talky. Pick the best real estate agent for your listing, for your purchase, and also when you're the landlord to screen your tenants. Okay, you guys make it a wonderful day. Stay warm. Bye-bye.